What is creativity? The relationship between a human being and the mysteries of inspiration. Hi, I'm Carol, and to start this new phase of my channel, I chose to talk about the book Big Magic: How to Live a Creative Life and Let Go of Your Fear by Elizabeth Gilbert. And it has everything to do with my daily life and the content I'm going to upload here. So this is a book from one artist to another, an uncomplicated guidance, and I would say similar to an afternoon-friendly conversation in which you reflect on points that can lead you to a more productive, meaningful and joyful creative life. The book is divided into 6 sections, and she used big words to entitle the chapters. So we have courage, enchantment, permission, persistence, trust, and divinity. Courage. Nelson Mandela once said, "Courage is not the absence of fear, but the triumph over it." So I would go beyond it and add the ability to do and coexist with it. The book starts with, in my opinion, an essential matter to live a more fulfilled life in general, and it is having the courage to put your gems out and expressing yourself. Because without bravery, we get stuck in a place where we are not seen, and all the capabilities and richness of ideas are left behind and unnoticed by the world. Then we have the great questioning: do you have the courage to bring forth the hidden treasures within you? Owning the courage to hunt these treasures and uncover them is what she calls big magic, and living a more creative and enchanted existence. Moreover, living a creative life is not about pursuing a career in arts. Instead, it is about expanding, amplifying, and bringing forth what makes you shine. And it could be cooking, gardening, sports, writing, and art in its more literal connotation. However, we always have excuses to stop ourselves, and Elizabeth goes through a list. But being afraid you are too fat stood out to me, because appearance has nothing to do with living a more creative life, but several times we hold ourselves back because of it and the feeling of unworthiness. But by now, we all should consciously know and apply that we don't need to fit social media and magazine standards to live happily, freely, and creatively. So embrace your uniqueness and move forward. Still, bravery means doing something scary, and most of the time this something will be uncomfortable. So finding excuses and creating hindrance will only delay your opportunities to grow. Enchantment. Yes, in a magical sense, as in Harry Potter. I don't know, have you ever felt an enlightening, strong emotional and physical reaction, like chills running up your body when you hear something or a thought crosses your mind? Yeah, it could be inspiration. And I love how she treats ideas and inspirations as living beings that go from one person to another and blossom where it is welcomed. Though this is an ancient idea, because in Greek mythology it was attributed to the muse, the 9 nymphs, the source of inspiration and all things art and knowledge. And also Romans, they didn't believe that an exceptionally gifted person was a genius. They believed that an exceptionally talented person had a genius, as in a companion spirit. And it is so beautiful to think like that, because in this sense, inspiration kind of floats, it comes and goes, sometimes landing in different minds at the same time, because it urges to be materialized. And if it anchors in your mind, are you brave enough to bring it to life, or are you leaving it to someone else? Permission. You don't need anybody's permission to live a creative life. As I said in the beginning, the book is a friendly conversation, and we read different stories about her friends and family. And to illustrate how you don't need permission in order to be creative, she tells us her parents' story and how they do whatever they want to do, building a life as they want to. However, it is emphasized how financially and emotionally independent they are, and how independence means freedom to make and invent. Therefore, don't beat yourself up if you are not financially independent. There is no problem if you receive financial support, because emotional independence and maturity are the keys to allowing yourself to decide what is meaningful to you. Also, in order to permit yourself to be creative, you don't have to be original. So give room for your creation, because you only need to be authentic, and being authentic means creating what you've imagined in your own way, and no one can replace you as well what you make. Persistence. Yes, in its literal definition. So Elizabeth tells us more about her writing trajectory and how she insisted and persisted daily, making a vow to herself to keep writing whatever happened. Even if it didn't bring her profits, she would still write. Furthermore, she mentions a writer called Mark Manson, who said that you can find your life's purpose by answering the question, what's your favorite flavor of crab sandwich? Of course, they didn't use crab, but you've got it. Anyways, implying that it will take time, acceptance of possible momentary failures and rejections, because it can seem fantastic initially, but everything has its ups and downs. Although it is essential to keep working on your passion, and you don't have to be great nor a professional, so it's time to get your hands dirty, and her mom teaches us something: done is better than good. So keep it in mind and avoid giving space to perfectionism, because it is per se fear decked in fancy clothes, and personally, perfectionism equals procrastination. Trust. It is all about your relationship with your work. How much do you love your creation, and how much do you think it loves you back? Then we dive deep into the tormented artist setting and the myth that you must suffer to create valuable art. And honestly, I believe we need an entire video about this topic, because it is indeed complicated and it affects how you see your work and how you conduct your relationships. And there are many stories about successful and famous artists and how they led miserable private lives and mistreated their partners so they could enhance their creations, get more inspired, and produce more. Regardless, trusting that creation has chosen you, and whatever it is, this idea wants to be brought to life by you, so you better believe it has a crush on you. So choose love and truth over suffering, and remove the notion that work must be tedious and painful, because dark and heaviness won't help you flow in your work, on your art, or the idea you want to materialize. Trust in your truth. Divinity. Creativity is sacred, and it is not sacred. Only when we are at our most playful can divinity finally get serious with us. Finally, we reach the final story about a traditional dance from Bali, how a sacred dance was adapted and new fake cultural dances were created to suit the tourists' desire for entertainment. They merged what was considered sacred and profane, right and wrong, light and dark, building a transcendent and paradoxical creation between God and earth. And this is what being creative, inspired, and imaginative is: an intersection of what is tactile and unknown. And that's all for now. However, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. So please leave a comment below, like and subscribe, because I want to hear from you over and over. And I genuinely hope you've enjoyed our conversation. Thanks for sticking to the end and see you soon. Bye.